Hi, welcome to Cooking Matters Connecticut. I'm your host, Kelly Gilbert. Cooking Matters is a nutrition education program that teaches how to eat healthy on a budget. We're based out of the Community Health Network of Connecticut Foundation, and we would like to thank the Curtis C. Robinson Center for Health Equity for collaborating with us on this video series, and the Corsini Kitchen at the Wheeler Family Health and Wellness Center for letting us use this beautiful space. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here today for class 1. So again, I'm Kelly. I've been with Cooking Matters for about 6 years now. I started as a volunteer. As soon as I got my bachelor's, I scratched on their door until they finally hired me. And here I am today. We're gonna learn a lot in this series. We're gonna learn about nutrition information, why foods are good for us, what certain vitamins and minerals do for our bodies. We're gonna learn how to cook the food, because knowing information is great, but really cooking and knowing what do I do with a pepper, how do I mince garlic, those skills are really important. And then also we're going to focus on budgeting, because all the knowledge and all the skill in the world does not translate into anything if we can actually afford to bring the groceries back to our house. So that's me, a little about me. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, if you just want to say your name and what had you interested in taking a Cooking Matters class.
Hi, my name is Norma Dumas, and I was really interested in how to read the food labels. That's why.
Yes, good. We're going to cover that a lot. It's very complicated and very tricky, so cool.
Hi, my name is Wanda Johnson. I'm interested in just eating healthier.
Wonderful, overall.
I'm Zach Benjamin, and I like to work out, so why not take a nutrition class?
Yes, very important. It goes together. Yeah, very much so. Great.
Hi, my name is Brenda Williams, and I was very much interested in taking this class just to learn how to eat cleaner.
All right, so this is MyPlate. This represents the American Dietary Guidelines. So the Department of Health and Human Services and the USDA release a new model every 5 years. That's because science changes, and with all the new information we get about, what's healthy today, what wasn't healthy yesterday, that changes a lot. So they come together every 5 years with the latest body of science to try and help us eat more healthy. So it can get really annoying, on the news, like the egg, right? That's the famous one. It was good yesterday, then not today. So they're like, hey, everybody, eat eggs every day. It's a great source of protein. It has 9 essential amino acids. And then the next day, they're like, wait, oh my God, stop. Don't eat that. Hold on. It's really high in cholesterol. It's going to kill you. Stop eating eggs. Then a couple of years later, we see another news story, and they're saying, oh, hey, guys. Sorry, so you're going to think this is really funny, but it turns out the eggs are okay. So they have a lot of cholesterol, but it turns out the cholesterol in the food we eat doesn't necessarily raise our cholesterol, so go ahead and eat your eggs for now until 2020 and we tell you something new. So they're not trying to be annoying, but they're just, that's how we learn, 100 years ago or so, we didn't even have lights. So never mind, know how all these vitamins and minerals are working in our body. So, any questions? Yeah.
Didn't it used to be a piano?
It did, yes. Excellent observation, Zach. So every 5 years, not only do they change the guidelines based on the newest evidence, but also they try to find the best way to explain it to us. So it used to be a pyramid, and it was, blocks at first, just like real pyramids, and it was pretty good, but it could be a little confusing. The things we needed the most of were on the bottom. They had fats at the top. Then they had with the one with the stripes, and you kind of had to really look at it like, which stripe is thicker? That one? Is that what I should have more of? They had one with the little stairs going up the side of the pyramid to remind you, hey, get your exercise. And so now, the American guidelines and some other countries too, Australia, the US, they've gone to the plate method just to make it more visually appealing and more understandable. So we can relate to this, right? I've never built a pyramid, but I eat off a plate every day. So when I see this, I'm like, oh, okay, I know about what they're saying. So with MyPlate, we have 5 food groups. I always feel like when I'm like 100 years old or something when I say this, but back in my day, there was only 4 food groups. So that's, a change from back then. We have our fruits and vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy. We're gonna break each one down. And as far as serving size goes and how many servings of something we need a day, that's actually going to vary. So depending on our age, our gender, and our activity level, that's gonna tell us, more accurately how many calories we wanna consume a day, and also how many servings each we want of vegetables, fruits, protein, etc. So if you take the class and you graduate, you get this lovely book at the end with all these handouts. I really like this page. This is the MyPlate eating plan for yourself. So as you can see, it has your age, activity level, and then down here it tells you, okay, if you're at 1,600 calories a day, you need a little less than the general recommendations. So for an example, someone like me, I'm a small female. Most of my life is spent in the car driving job from job. I'm just sitting on my butt driving, so that's sedentary. Sometimes I'll try to take a couple Zumba classes a day. That could bring me into the active level. Except for me, I have no flavor and I kind of suck at it. So I really don't burn that many calories when I'm in the classroom. So, on a day if I'm working out after work, that would bring me to like the moderately active level. So, okay. So most of us here, or a lot of us, especially in America, just are on the go lifestyle. A lot of us are sedentary. So we would need the lowest amount of calories. So if I'm saying, oh God, do I want to say my age range? So maybe the middle one. All right, so maybe I'm not 21.9 again. So between 31 and 50, if I'm on a day where I'm just driving around, not doing much, I can have 1,800 calories. If I go over that, and especially consistently, then that's what's going to lead to some weight gain. Okay? And then if I'm at 1,800 calories, then that means I need 1.5 cups of fruits every day, 2.5 cups of vegetables, so on and so forth. So you can do the math with this all on your own stuff too. Okay? All right, now as far as our servings go, so what do you notice about the fruits and vegetables section? Is that a small portion of my plate or a big portion? Big, right? So that is, half of our plate every day should be fruits and vegetables. So this doesn't mean every single meal. So does anyone here eat all 5 food groups at every single meal? No, right? That's crazy. And that's actually good because if you're eating, so you said you work out. So if you're eating 5-6 times a day, some of these you don't want to have 6 times a day. Right. So, so with these fruits and vegetables, the way they do their recommendations, they say that we want to aim for at least 5 cups a day total. So 3 cups of vegetables a day, 2 cups of fruit. That's the minimum. You can go way over that. And we can get our fruit and vegetables in all different forms. So we'll talk about this more in an upcoming class. We'll dive into each food group. But for fruits and vegetables, we can get them fresh, right? Frozen. What's another form? Canned. And then what are raisins? What do raisins come from? Grapes. So they're dried grapes. So the 4th form would be dried. And then one more form, what if I said you would sip it, not bite it? How can we get it? Smoothies and juices. So good. So we can get it all different ways. Your serving sizes for these. So if you're eating a whole piece of fruit or like a whole pepper, a whole banana, a whole apple, that would actually count as 1 cup of fruit right there. Right? If we're chopping up or using a frozen bag of fruits or vegetables, generally we say that half a cup is a serving. Okay, so cut up, chopped up, cooked or fresh is half cup. So if we eat a whole apple all by ourselves, which I'm sure we all can, right? That right there, you're already getting 2 servings of your fruits and vegetables. So as far as our leafy greens go, because they're thinner, lighter, fluffier, 1 cup of leafy greens is actually worth a half cup. Does that make sense? Kind of? Okay. As far as raisins or any other dried fruit or vegetable, because we've taken all the water out and shrunk them, 1/4 cup is 1 serving. So, if you were to add all that water back into raisins and, rewind, that would be a big giant bunch of grapes. So that's why when we dry things, the portion size is even smaller. And then for juice, kind of the same premise. So you're losing a lot of the fiber. You're just getting the juice and the vitamins out of it. So a half cup of juice is actually 1 serving.
Is the serving size the same if you make a smoothie?
Excellent question. Yes. So with a smoothie, you're using most of the fruit, right? So if you take an apple or a bunch of strawberries, you're just blending it up. So that actually does count. So once it's liquidy, it gets, we can drink a real lot all at once. So it's very easy to overdo it. So if you're going to make a smoothie, you really don't want to make a giant smoothie. You would want to use, like a half cup of strawberries, maybe half a banana, like that at once. Think of it as if you're eating it. So try not to overdo it. Yeah, anything else?
What's the difference between juicing and making a smoothie?
Oh, so I love that question. So they're actually quite different. There's different purposes. So with a smoothie, and this relates to what Brenda's asking too. So with a smoothie, the only difference between drinking a smoothie and eating a fruit or vegetable on its own is that the blender's chewing it for you. So that just made it sound gross, but that's, really what's happening. You're still getting the fiber, so it's still, digesting a little bit slower, but you're getting all the parts of that fruit or vegetable. You don't want to overdo it. So if you're going to make a smoothie, again, we go for the fruits. Try to add some vegetables in there so you're not getting so much sugar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then with juicing, when people go on like a juice fast or a juice cleanse, it's for different reasons. So with juicing, you're extracting the juice from the fruit or vegetable, and you're extracting the vitamins. So you're really not getting hardly any of the fiber. So if you've ever, used a juicer, so what happens when you're drinking a juice or buying a juice, so orange juice, vegetable juice, what happens is with the fiber gone, the benefit is that we're absorbing a ton of the vitamins, They're not even getting burned off in the digestive process because it's just going right down. And we absorb them very quickly. So that's a benefit. But again, just like we're absorbing the vitamins super fast, we're absorbing that sugar super fast too. So excellent question.
Wow. But can I get all my servings at one time, such as in a smoothie for my fruits and my vegetables?
Oh, okay. Yes. So a lot of people do that, right? Yes. Excellent question. So a lot of people do that. Like, I'm going to get my 5 right now or my 7. 7's even better. So you actually don't want to do that. So I just ruined it. Nobody likes it anymore. So you actually don't want to do that because our body can only use so many vitamins at once. Right? So if you're getting a couple oranges and, I got 100% of my vitamin C and, all the fiber I need for the day and all of this, what happens is you're going to drink your smoothie, maybe 7 fruits and vegetables in there. Your body's going to say, okay, I only need this much vitamin C right now and this much potassium. And the rest, the vitamins are going to dissolve in our body and we're just going to pee them out, basically. So you haven't reached your 100% actually. Yeah, so sorry, you're going to want to change that up a little bit. Kind of the same as water. We're supposed to get 64 ounces a day, 8 cups. That's a 2-liter bottle, of soda. You wouldn't drink a 2-liter bottle of water and it just stays there, right? You're going to be going to the bathroom every 10 minutes, so you're going to have to call out of work. You could actually drown in it. And even if you did do all that, there's no way like, all right, I got it all. I'm not going to be thirsty till tomorrow morning. You're definitely going to get thirsty later in the day. So excellent question. Cool. Any other questions on fruits and vegetables or? No? All right. So then the next part of my plate is our grains. We want to get 6 servings of grains a day. And can you guys name any foods in the grain group? Yeah.
Barley?
Good, barley. Ooh, that's what we're doing today too. Yes. Good. That's going to be our grains. Rice. Yep. Very popular. Very healthy.
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal. Good. A lot of people miss that. Ooh, we got 2 people that got that one. Yeah. So is that breakfast? Good. Healthy breakfast. So good. All of those, our bread, our pasta. Wonderful. So the way we want those, so we want to get 6 servings a day. 1 serving is 1 ounce. So you might be like, what does that mean? So an ounce is a weight, if you think of it as like a volume, that's like a shot glass, So this is where reading labels is going to come into play, which we're going to practice with plenty through this course. So in general though, 1 ounce would be like 1 slice of bread. For hot cereals like oatmeal, a half cup would be a serving. So once, it starts drying, then you cook it up. Same thing with rice or pasta, barley, quinoa, anything that starts off dry and it cooks up, an ounce will fill about half cup. Cold cereal is usually going to be about 1 cup. And am I missing any? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So cereal is going to be about 1 cup. Now with our grains, out of those 6 servings, we want to try to make sure at least half of the grains we eat throughout the day are whole grains, not refined. And that, I know you've heard those words before. I can see some nodding. There's a whole nother chapter on that because that's a lot to go into. All right, any questions on grains? Are we good? Okay, next we have protein. So the same amount of servings, we want to get 6 servings of protein a day. That's going to be an ounce. So 1 ounce is 1 serving. What are some foods in the protein group?
Yogurt.
Yogurt. Oh, actually, you know what? That's a good one. So it's technically dairy, but dairy has a ton of protein.
Yeah.
So, okay. What else? Meat, yes. So any type of meat.
Dried
Beans. Good. Awesome. Dried beans. So with our beans, that's going to cook up into a half cup. So our dried beans. If it's already in the can, then half cup is a serving. I'll say that on the label. Nuts and seeds are a big one people forget. So for that, you'd want a 1 ounce serving. That's like a little handful. So by that I mean if I'm thinking I can eat sunflower seeds all day, I want to put it in a handful and be able to walk across the room with it. So if it's a handful that's falling out and my hand is filling, that's too big. Yes.
What about adding like chia seeds to a smoothie? Is that considered protein?
Oh yes, good one. So that's an awesome way to get more protein. So, if Brenda said meat, if we don't like meat or we can't eat meat or we just don't for a lot of reason, seeds, adding them to smoothies is an excellent way to get our protein. And then dairy.
You was talking about the meat. The 3 ounces, is that before or after cooking?
Oh, good one, yes. So that's actually after it's cooked, luckily, right? Good, yeah, if we start with 3, it's gonna be, oh my gosh. So meat should be about the size of a deck of cards, about the size of the palm of our hand. Yeah, so after cooking. So you can start with like 4 ounces raw and let it cook down. That's some question, all right? And then our last category is dairy. So what are our dairy foods and drinks? Milk, good.
The yogurt.
I'm going to
The
say
yogurt. Do some yogurt.
Well, because when I buy my yogurt, I look at the protein, the number of grams of protein in my yogurt. So that's why I originally said protein for
Okay,
yogurt.
wonderful.
That's how,
Yeah, animal products. We get a lot of our protein from the animal products.
Right.
Good.
Cheese,
Cheese. Awesome. And that's most of them.
which is my weakness.
Okay, me too. So, good. And then ice cream would be like a last. So it's anything that comes from milk. So by definition, dairy is anything that comes from milk. We want to get 3 servings a day. For the milk and yogurt, that would be a cup, so 8 ounces. Okay. And then for cheese, it would be an ounce or an ounce and a half, and your label will usually tell you, depending on the type of cheese. All right. So that's pretty much it. That's the basics on MyPlate. Again, if you take the course, we go through the whole thing, step by step and get really deep into these. If no other questions, then we can move on to those tricky food labels that we were talking about. Yes.
What are calories?
Ooh, excellent question. So we are a mind reader, so we are just about to get into that. So important question because all of our food has calories. So if you want to take out your food label handout. All right, so does anybody here already read food labels at all when you go to the grocery store? Yeah, you do a little bit? Yeah, I'm probably like the biggest psycho about it. Huh?
Depends on the product.
Okay, depends on the product. Very good. So if you know something's generally healthy, you might not need to as much. All right. When you guys do read labels, what are some of the first things you look for?
Sodium, no.
Sodium, yes.
Sugar for me. I'm trying to stay away from sugar, so I look to see how many grams of sugar.
Okay, great.
I look at that.
And you're looking at fat? Okay, so those are really like the big 3 and 4, and then the calories. So does anyone know what the first thing you should be looking for is?
The serving size?
Yes, good. So the serving size. So I love this handout. It really goes step by step on how to read a nutrition label. One great thing about nutrition labels is they're all going to be in the same order. So product to product, so once you get used to label reading, your eyes can just dart to where they need to be really quickly. Even if a food label goes sideways, things are still going to be in the same order. So the first thing we want to look for is serving size, because without that, all these other numbers are out of context. So, this is a sample of a packaged food. Actually, this is the nutrition label basically for the Barley Jambalaya that we're making tonight. But this is like as if it was like a boxed meal. So packaged foods will have the nutrition labels. So this is saying 1 serving of the meal would be a cup and a quarter. So, that might be reasonable, but it also might be like, oh my gosh, I can eat way more than that. This is delicious. So, I'm probably going to do like a solid, I'm going to double that. I could probably do like 2.5 cups on there. So if that was the case, then, if this has 230 calories and we're going to eat twice as much as 1 serving, how many calories would that be? Quick math. 460. Good, you're dispelling the myth that men are better at math and science. She beat you to it. So that's very important. So serving size doubles everything else. If you're going to eat 3 servings, then accordingly. So ask yourself, how much am I really eating of this? Now, calories. So you said, what are calories? That always is like an interesting question. So like, I know that there's something, what are they? So calories are actually energy. So that's what gives us energy. Technically, it's heat, so heat is energy. And that's why, so if we're really hungry, and we're moving slow, and oh my God, I'm so hungry, like I'm running out of energy, because we burned all of our energy. So that comes in, like all our nutrients are going to have different amounts of calories. Any questions on that?
Okay, what are the calories from fat all about?
Yeah, so this is on our label. So calories from fat. So like Zach was saying that, you look out for fat. That's one of the things you look out for on a label. So this is, if you want to take notes on this, you're more than welcome to. So every gram of fat, 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. So there's 9 calories in a gram of fat. They're the most nutrient dense, they say. And then for carbohydrates, every 1 gram of carbohydrates has 4 calories. And for protein, every 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. So, with so many people on the lookout for fat and not wanting to eat too much, this is telling us that in this product, out of all the calories from all the nutrients, 40 of them are from the fat itself. So does that make sense? And you can always do the quick math if you want to check them out. So I've done this one before, but so 9 times 4.5, will come to about 40. It's actually 40.5, and they should round up, but they rounded down. But so yes, you could definitely double check them. All right, then next on our food label, we have fat. And we'll talk more in lesson 3 about all the different types of fats, but we have healthy fats and unhealthy fats. So the label and the bold letters are always going to tell you total fat. So 1 serving of this has 4.5 grams of fat. And then because saturated fat and trans fat are the ones that are unhealthy and we really have to look out for those, they have to put those on the food label to let us know how much we're getting. The other type of fat is unsaturated fat. Because that's a healthier fat, they don't have to put it on there. So some foods will, to advertise like, hey, look at, I have a lot of good fats in me. So like olive oil is one, peanuts, nuts, and seeds, they'll often say it. But these 2 have to be on there. And then the next one down, we're going to see is cholesterol and sodium. which we'll actually kind of wrap back around to. But sodium is salt. And then we have our carbohydrates. So the bold section says carbohydrates. And really there's three main types of carbohydrates. So we have our fiber, which is listed because, you know, that's something we really want to be getting more of. Sugar is the second type of carb that's on there. And then you won't see this listed, but starches are the third, you know, thing that you'll find in carbohydrates. And we'll be talking way more about fiber in lesson 3 and all the health benefits it has. You know, basically, though, with fiber, we don't really digest it, and that's actually a good thing. So it, you know, there used to be an old commercial with the little yellow ball, you know, going through the picnic and everything. So fiber, basically, it's kind of like a mop. We take it in, and it just, you know, comes out. Something we don't always like to talk about, but but it takes all the bad stuff with it. So hence being called waste. So we definitely want to get more fiber. And then, so a lot of times, like if somebody's watching out for their carbs or, you know, has any you know, diabetes or any blood sugar issues, when you're counting your carbs, you can usually subtract the grams of fiber because they don't spike our blood sugar and don't really have an effect on our blood. Okay? All right, and then the last thing, this one's super important, and we'll practice with this a lot. Your last column is the percent daily value. So that tells you if a nutrient, so the percent daily value tells you that if a food is high or low in a specific nutrient, okay? So, and this has to do a lot with health claims. So, you know, when you'll see a cereal saying, oh, I'm an excellent source of fiber, you know, good source of calcium, what does that all mean? Or low in salt, what does that really mean? So anything, so percent daily value is in this column over here. Anything that's 5% or lower is officially considered low. So that can be a good thing or a bad thing. So, you know, what are some things that we'd want to aim low on? Sugar, good. All the things you guys said. So like sugar, sodium, fat, we want to aim low. Anything 20% or higher is officially considered high, and that's when they could say it's an excellent source of calcium or whatever it is. And then, so obviously, you know, we'd want some of our vitamins to be as high as possible. And then anything in between, so 6 to 19% of our daily value, that's going to be average in the middle. And you can kind of figure it out from there, right? So if something's 18% of your daily value, you know, they can't say it's an excellent source of that nutrient on a package, but you know, 20%'s high, I'm at 18, I'm doing pretty good. So any questions on that? There's always 2 things that we need to do before we start making a recipe. So what is one thing, hint, hint?
Wash
our hands.
20 seconds.
20 seconds,
Happy
yes.
birthday twice.
Yes. Perfect. So yes, 20 seconds is the minimum. Really the maximum. We're not doing surgery, we're making food. So 20 seconds, which would be the happy birthday song twice, the alphabet once. And there's one other thing we have to do. If I was just like, hey, make barley jambalaya, how are you going to know what to do?
Need to have the ingredients.
The recipe. Good. We need to read the recipe. We have to make sure we have the ingredients. There's a fancy French term for that, so you guys weren't expecting. It does start with an M. Ready to learn a new language today? Didn't expect that. So in French, the phrase is mise en place. So mise en place. And that means everything in its place. So what we want to do to make cooking a lot simpler and quicker is make sure we have all our ingredients out. So I've always been actually really guilty of that. I always feel like, oh, it's an extra step to get things before I get started. I'll just do it as I go, and it's always a fail. So I have the pot boiling over with water, and I'm like, the salt, where's the salt? So I'm gonna read the recipe to you, and we'll make sure we have everything out. So this is the barley jambalaya. You guys have a copy? You do, right? Mm-hmm. So barley jambalaya. This recipe serves 6. We're having a big old party here tonight, so we're actually going to double the recipe. But here we go. So we have a cup of barley, And the recipe says pearled barley. One really interesting note, with barley, if it just says barley on the label, that's actually a whole grain form, so it's a whole grain barley. Pearled barley actually is a refined grain. So they've actually removed some of the parts of the barley, which we'll cover more, in lesson 2 of the Cooking Matters curriculum. But so it's taking out some of the fiber too. So the benefit though is it would cook a lot faster. So just so you know. So I've already done that for you. So we already had this made ahead. With barley, it's really simple. It's a grain. You cook it pretty much like rice. You would do a cup of barley, 3 cups of water. So you triple the water, and it basically doubles to triples in size. So this 1 little cup is now filling this whole. So very cost effective too. A whole bag of barley, you guys, is $1. So, all right. Then we have our 3 medium onions. So we have those cut up. We're going to do, the recipe says 2 celery stalks, and again, we're doubling, so we're doing 4 of those, and we're gonna talk about chopping, mincing, and dicing just a second, and you're gonna practice that. So we have our onions, celery, peppers, a couple cloves of garlic that are going to be minced. Any ground meat will work, so this recipe just says, 4 ounces of ground turkey. I brought chicken today because we're gonna do a turkey recipe in another class, but you could just as easily do beef, or you could make it vegetarian and do no meat at all. And then we're gonna need some oil to heat up and saute our vegetables. And we're going to do some diced tomatoes. So I got some canned diced tomatoes, but we're also gonna practice dicing on our own as well, okay? And then a little salt, pepper, oregano, one of my favorite spices, and just a little bit of cayenne pepper. And if you want a lot of bit of cayenne pepper, you can sprinkle that on your own serving. So, all right, so I guess, so if we want to get up and wash our hands, and then I'll take some volunteers, whoever wants to practice mincing garlic and chopping this and that. So mincing is very, very small pieces. So like garlic is something we really mince. Dicing is when you're cutting something into pretty much like equal medium-sized pieces. And then chopping, more like our already done tomatoes, it's just kind of loosely any different size, it doesn't matter as much. So I'm going to show you a really cool way to cut a pepper. So I learned this on YouTube every now and then. In addition to the Cooking Matters 6-week classes, sometimes we do events, and I just have to make the recipe at home by myself and cut, say, 14 peppers for a recipe. So that was getting really far into my night one night. So, so here's a really cool way to do it. So you cut off the stem of the pepper, right? So that you can put it upside down. And then, so the point here, I'm gonna try to avoid all the seeds so I don't have to keep brushing them and rinsing them out. And then that white part called the pith? The indents are where the pith is. Right. Okay, so you cut the stem off, you put it upside down, and then you pick like an outer area, okay, like 1/4 inch away from it. And then see that perfectly clean slice? Mm-hmm. So with that slice, now I can see the inside of the pepper, and I can just very easily cut around that pith. And some people say like, oh, aren't you gonna waste a lot? No, because I have mad skills now. Like 14 peppers in one night. So I'm gonna bring it back around, so it's getting very close to the top. We're not wasting much of anything. And then just so on and so forth. So you can just go around. So I'll let one of you take that over. And then for cutting it, now with cutting, 2 very important things. One, we wanna do what's called the claw. Okay, so that makes it impossible to cut off your fingertips. So you could still cut off your knuckles. No, that would be worse, but we want to avoid that. And we generally want it on a flat surface. One of the rare exceptions, though, is actually peppers. So because they're so waxy on the outside, knives sometimes have trouble cutting them and slip. So this is one of the few vegetables, or is it a fruit, that you actually want to have upside down. so it cuts a lot better. Even that, you can see how much easier that was than my initial couple cuts. Okay, so we're gonna dice these up. So we're gonna slice it around equal sides. Do my little claw. All right, and that'll be the size of our peppers. Okay, so if somebody can anyone want to try the cool pepper trick? The cool pepper trick. Then with our garlic cloves, right now to cut garlic up, there's a good little trick. So does anyone ever spend a bunch of time like trying to peel the little paper off, right? Oh, you have a garlic press. Awesome. So a really easy way to get the paper off is you take the little ends, right? And this is a clove of garlic. This is really important. So, I mean, honestly, without Cooking Matters, this is where I learned all my cooking skills. At first, honest to God, I wasn't sure if this was a clove of garlic or if this was a clove of garlic. So for the beginners who don't want to admit it, this is a head. Right, this is a head of garlic. And then each part of the head is a clove. So I'm going to cut off the end. I don't want to waste a lot, but I just want to cut the ends a little bit. And some people can do this without cutting off the ends. All right, then I want to get it kind of flat. You want to take a big knife, okay? The blade away from you. We put it on top. A couple hits. And check that out. It just falls right off. So, not too bad. Have you done that? You already knew? Pretend you didn't. No. And then it's pretty much already cut up for us. And you didn't know that? I've reached somebody. Someone. So, yeah, that's how you do it. So much quicker than the peeling and all that. For the celery, we're just going to... we're just going to cut that up just really thin and bite size so that it'll cook faster. So the thinner we cook our vegetables, the faster they'll cook. Okay. And then with dicing, so like a tomato or an onion, there are a few different ways to do it, and I learned a lot from participants in these classes actually. But so you see the part where it was connected to the stem at one point? So a really good way to do this, claw, is cut that in half. So we actually want to keep the stem intact. And that's going to hold it together for us so it doesn't get all over the place. So now we want to go back to our flat surface. Right? This is a pretty thick tomato. So if you have a very, very sharp knife, if not, you can make a mistake. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pierce it a little bit. And then with my hand on top, I'm going to come on through. Not all the way, so I didn't cut it all the way in half. And then to get like approximately equal sized pieces, I'm gonna make a slice, come on down. See the claw, fingertips are safe. So we cut a few ways that way, vertically, and then the stem's holding it together. Then I'm gonna go horizontally. Ooh, juicy. And this is good, actually. I really want this juice in our recipe. So, all right. And there we go. Diced tomato. Yay. Everybody's beautiful as our can. Yes, you may round of applause. All right, so for this recipe now, all right, so once we have all our vegetables cut, what we want to do is pour some oil into our pan, about medium heat. And we want to actually put all of our vegetables in, get them into the pan first because it's going to take them longer to saute. So, excellent dicing skills, guys. So we're going to get our peppers and our onions, and it's going to start to form one of my favorite smells on the whole entire planet, actually. Just lightly coating them. And then with oil, you can use canola oil or olive oil. Just with the olive oil, we have virgin and extra virgin. So extra virgin olive oil is has a lower smoke point, which means it, can't stand as high of a temperature. So, the extra virgin olive oil is actually best for like salad dressings and dips and things like that. And then the regular olive oil is better for sauteing. Right. And then one little trick when it comes to, seasoning our food. I learned this actually when I first started working for Cooking Matters. The woman that was training me, she actually had a culinary background and went to culinary school. So for me, like literally all my cooking skills come from this course. Like I knew how to teach and how to talk, but other than that. So she taught me that in culinary, they teach you to season every step of the way. So we have our measurements out already. So I'm not going to dump it all in, but we have oregano, some black pepper, a little bit of salt. And this happens to be sea salt because somebody, or some Brenda, once had something to say about the salt I'd brought into a event we were doing. So, do you remember what you said to me, Brenda?
I kind of think I do remember what I said, Kelly, but I didn't mean to be hard.
Brenda took it to heart. What did you say? Tell him what you said.
I said, Kelly, that's regular salt. You should be using sea salt. It's
Yeah.
not there for you.
Yeah. She said it just that calmly. It was nothing. It wasn't at all like, Kelly, you're a nutritionist. You're feeding us this salt. So, yes. So, the whole sodium and salt thing, that'll be a whole nother class. We'll talk about kosher versus sea salt versus regular salt. Yeah, so I took that to heart, and I actually got a fine ground sea salt. So just so you know, you're welcome. There's no iodine in there. So can TV magic make this cook faster? All right, so then I'm going to throw in our diced tomatoes. Oh, wow, you're not going to be hungry much longer after this. It's a big giant. And this is so gorgeous. I just love looking at all the colors we're getting. So, that's another important thing with fruits and vegetables that we'll learn as time goes on. We really want to vary the colors. They have different nutrients that are really good for us. So then I'm actually going to brown the meat for time's sake in a separate pan. So those vegetables are going to take about 5 to 7 minutes to saute. When you see directions that say browning the meat, that's definitely not the end of the process. So that's for when you can combine the ingredients all together, you're lessening the chance of any bacteria getting onto your vegetables.
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking of not to dry it out before the whole thing went together.
Oh, okay. No, that is actually another thing. There you go. Thinking. This part's fun, right? And so again, with the whole seasoning thing, so I have this in a separate pan. So I'm just going to add a little more seasonings to these. The only thing I want to say too is we're doubling the recipe, so we're doubling the seasoning. One thing that you don't want to double completely is, you don't want to overdo it with the salt. You could always add more if you really needed it later. And then hot items, so like the cayenne pepper. And honestly, that actually kind of just depends on who's in my class. So some are like, keep it away. Other ones are like, what are you doing? Like, give me the whole jar. They like their heat, so. Hold on. Okay, so now we got it browned. So it doesn't mean it's fully brown, but it's mostly cooked, at least on the outside. Now I'm going to add it to the vegetable mixture. I'm going to bring down the heat and just let it simmer for about 10 minutes or so. Who trusts me? Not I. All right. And then this was a very lean cut of meat. So, we'll talk about that in a whole nother lesson, the good fats, the bad fats, and also the different cuts of meats. So, if I had done like a real fatty cut of chicken or any type of meat, there would definitely be a step where I'd need to drain it out at some point. at my house, I would have maybe drained this out a little, but I mean, it really wasn't necessary. This is very lean, so this one was actually 93% lean muscle, so just chicken, and only 7% fat. Oh my gosh, look at that. So, starting to smell so good, right? Smells good, looks good, sounds good, like I can hear it, so all the senses. And luckily, since you guys played a part in it, it will taste good. So that's just like one thing I was saying. I say it all the time. So most of the recipes I make at home really are the Cooking Matters, like that book. Like I am like the testament to like why Cooking Matters works. And I make it at home and it comes out good, but no joke, every time we make something in class, it's so much better. Oh, wait, 100% of the time. Like, I've had classes be like, you know what, make a double batch, and I'm taking half of that home. So now that our mixture is all together, now we can do the final step of, doing the rest of the herbs and spices. So we did a little on the vegetables separately. We did a little bit on the meat, and now it all comes together. So we're doing oregano. That was our black pepper, some salt. Not very much. Salt is the one that catches people's eye, This recipe only uses 1 teaspoon of salt, and it serves 6 people. So you're getting a 1/6 of a teaspoon of salt. So another really big thing we teach in Cooking Matters is, using spices. So we actually it's a whole chapter that covers menu planning and just using spices instead. So really waking up our palate, learning new tricks. Right, cayenne, can we handle it? So, all right. So you're that class, you're the yes class. Double it. So, yeah, that's the only spice I didn't double. I did not double the cayenne, but you are more than welcome to do that on your own. All right. And then obviously it's barley jambalaya, so we're going to add our barley. And this is just one type of whole grain. So you can make rice jambalaya, you can make, quinoa jambalaya. You can do any grain you want. A really good cooking tip. Barley does take a little while to cook. So like you were saying, you kind of teamwork it, It's one of those things where even if you were just on your own, you could always make barley the night before and then add it the next day. And we have bay leaves in here for flavor. You're just going to want to take those out at the end. Some people think they're poisonous. It's not that it's toxic. It's just that it's so hard and stiff that it's actually a choking hazard. So, yeah, be careful. You didn't know. That's right. You still made it here, and Zach still made it. So, there we go. There's your shot. So. Cool. All right. Who's going to clean? So what do you think?
That was great. This is wonderful.
Awesome.
Nice flavor.
Good. Is it too hot for anyone, or anyone need a little more heat?
I can always use heat.
All right, we'll get a little more there. Well, awesome. So it's delicious. It's nutritious. We have so many different fruits and vegetables. We have so many vegetables and whole grains. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. Hope to see you again next week. We have a lot more sessions to go. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you practice this at home. And if you would like to sign up for a whole class series on your own, or if you're interested in a volunteer opportunity, we could always use more sidekicks. Just contact us at the information below. Thank you. If you enjoyed this program today, you can participate as well. Cooking Matters classes will help you learn how to shop and cook healthy on a budget, explore new recipes, and overall have fun, meet new people, and gain new skills. If you're in the Hartford area and would like to participate in a Cooking Matters class, please call 860-714-5770 or email healthequity@stfranciscare.org. For Cooking Matters class information across the state, to participate or become a volunteer, please contact 203-303-3908. Thank you.